Imagine walking into every room without shrinking, without pretending, without the weight of anyone's opinion crushing your voice. Imagine saying what you truly believe and not flinching. Imagine living a life that isn't edited by fear. That's real freedom. But let's be honest. How many times have you silenced yourself because you were afraid of being misunderstood? How many times have you played small just to fit in, or stayed quiet just to avoid judgment? We all have, because somewhere along the way, we were taught that approval equals safety, that being liked means being worthy. And so we build our lives around other people's eyes instead of our own values. But here's the truth. The way you deal with opinions determines the way you live your entire life. If you let fear of judgment rule you, you will always hesitate, always shrink, always depend on their validation. But if you learn to rise above it, if you stop letting their whispers dictate your steps, then you become untouchable. That's where true freedom begins. Today, you're going to learn 10 Stoic rules to help you stop caring what others think and finally live as your true self. These aren't just ideas. They are weapons of clarity, forged in fire, tested through centuries. If you apply them, they will change the way you see fear, judgment, and freedom forever. But before we begin, make a promise to yourself. Write in the comments, starting today, I choose freedom. You're not just typing words. You're declaring independence from opinions, from fear, from the invisible chains that have kept you small. Say it once and mean it. Say it again until you believe it. Now, let's begin. Rule number 1, control what you can, accept what you can't. How many nights have you lost sleep over something you couldn't change? Someone's opinion, a past mistake, a future that refuses to obey your plans. We fight, we worry, we replay it in our minds, as if anxiety could somehow rewrite reality. But no amount of overthinking can move what's beyond your reach. And yet, that's where most people waste their energy, fighting battles that can never be won. The Stoics gave us a truth so simple, it almost feels unfair. Control what you can, accept what you can't. It's simple to understand, but brutal to live. Because your mind will always whisper, maybe if I worry enough, it will change. But life doesn't care. Reality moves forward, whether you are calm or restless. The only thing you control is your reaction to it. Epictetus, born a slave, understood this better than anyone. He said, "Some things are in our control, and some things are not." That's the line you must draw every day. On one side lies your thoughts, your actions, your choices. They belong to you. On the other side lies everything else, the opinions of others, the outcomes of events, the past, the future. They never did. The tragedy is that most people live on the wrong side of the line. They waste their peace on what they can't touch, while neglecting the only kingdom they truly rule, their own mind. So, draw the line and guard it with your life. They try to change people. They obsess over outcomes. They fight against time itself. And every time, they lose. Ask yourself right now, what's eating at you? Is it really within your control, Or are you trying to hold on to something that was never yours in the first place? If it's not yours, let it go. Why waste your strength fighting the wind when you could learn to sail? You cannot command the storm, but you can command yourself. You can't stop the rain, but you can build your shelter. That's where your power lives, not in bending reality to your will, but in mastering how you respond to it. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, faced betrayal, war, and death. Yet in the midst of chaos, he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Even the most powerful man in the world understood, fate cannot be commanded, but the mind can. When you fight reality, you always lose. But when you accept what you cannot change and focus your effort where it matters, on your choices, your discipline, your attitude, you win every time, no matter the outcome. Because success isn't measured by results. It's measured by effort, resilience, and integrity. So, start small. When traffic slows you down, remind yourself, this is not mine to control, my patience is. When someone insults you, their words belong to them, my reaction belongs to me. When plans fall apart, the chaos isn't mine, my composure is. And little by little, you'll start to see it. That quiet strength, that calm clarity. The world no longer pulls your strings, you do. Imagine the peace you'll feel when no opinion, no outcome, no past mistake can shake you. Imagine the strength you'll carry when no one else has the power to disturb your mind. This isn't weakness, this is mastery. The weak man tries to control the world and breaks. The strong man controls himself and endures. So remember this: life will always send storms, critics, and losses your way. You can't control that, but you can control how you rise again and again. That is your power. That is your freedom. Control what you can, accept what you can't. That is the Stoic way. That is how you live, unshaken. Look around you. Everything you see, your possessions, your home, the people you love, even your own reflection, will one day fade. Nothing you hold will last forever. Nothing you build will remain untouched by time. And yet, how often do we live as if this truth doesn't apply to us? We act as if tomorrow is guaranteed, as if our youth will never fade, as if the people beside us will always be there. This illusion that life is permanent is what makes us careless. It's what makes us arrogant. It's what makes us waste the only thing we truly own: time. The Stoics tried to wake us from this dream. They said, everything is temporary. Pleasure fades. Pain fades. Success fades. Failure fades. Even life itself fades. But this truth isn't meant to depress you. It's meant to wake you up. Because once you see how fragile life really is, you stop living like you have forever. You stop sleepwalking through your days. You stop postponing what truly matters. Marcus Aurelius wrote, quote, "Think of yourself as dead. You have lived your life. Now take what's left and live it properly." End quote. That's not morbid. It's liberating. When you accept that every day could be your last, you begin to live with clarity, urgency, and gratitude. You stop clinging to nonsense. You stop wasting words on anger. You stop letting fear delay your dreams. Think about it. When you were a child, you thought those years would last forever. Then they passed.
When you were young, you thought time was endless. Now you look back and wonder, where did it all go? The same will happen with today. One day you'll look back on this exact moment and realize it too was temporary. So why waste it? Hardship feels endless when you're inside it, but even pain has an expiration date. The weight you carry now will fade. The wounds will heal. Even your suffering is temporary. And so is pleasure. The thrill, the joy, the excitement you feel now will also fade. That's why the Stoic stays grounded. He enjoys the moment fully, but he doesn't cling to it. He loves deeply, but he doesn't depend on it, because he knows what is borrowed will always be returned. People will come into your life, and one day they will leave. You will laugh with them, build memories with them, love them with everything you have, and one day either you will lose them or they will lose you. But that doesn't mean you should despair. It means you should love fiercely now. It means you should stop wasting time in silence. Stop letting pride steal your moments. Because every second you share with someone is temporary and therefore priceless. Your own life is no different. Every breath you take brings you closer to your last. Most people avoid thinking about this because it terrifies them. The Stoics thought about it because it freed them. They called it memento mori. Remember that you must die. Not to be fearful, but to be grateful. Not to be hopeless, but to be present. Seneca said, quote, "We are dying every day. Each sunrise is one less you will see. Each night is one step closer to your last." End quote. That isn't something to dread. It's something to honor. Because it means your time is too precious to waste on anger, envy, or fear. It means the clock is always ticking, and what you do with each tick is your real life. So how do you live with this truth? First, let go. Stop clinging to things as if they will last forever. They won't. Stop hoarding. Stop obsessing. Stop tying your identity to what fades. Use what you have. Enjoy it, but never let it own you. Second, value the present. Stop waiting for someday. Stop postponing your dreams, your words, your love. Tomorrow is not promised. Live now. Third, embrace impermanence as freedom. If everything is temporary, then nothing has the power to hold you forever. Not pain, not loss, not fear. Time will wash it all away. This truth can either terrify you or set you free. The Stoic chooses freedom. Think of life like writing in sand. Every wave will come and erase it. Does that mean you shouldn't write? No, it means you should write boldly, because the beauty isn't in permanence, it's in the act itself. So remember this. The world changes, people change, you change. Nothing stands still. Do not resist this truth. Flow with it. Let it sharpen your gratitude. Let it awaken your urgency. Everything is temporary. Your struggles, your pleasures, your possessions, your life. That's why you must not cling, must not waste, must not sleepwalk through your days. Live with purpose. Love with fire. Act with courage. Because nothing lasts, and that's exactly what makes it beautiful. That is why you must live awake. Live with purpose. Live with love. Because when you accept that everything is temporary, you stop wasting time. You stop fearing loss. You stop clinging to illusions. And you start living like the Stoics. Free, grateful, and unshaken. Number 6, own your mind. Your mind is your most powerful weapon, your most valuable possession, the one thing that can never be taken from you unless you give it away. And yet most people live as if their minds belong to everyone else. They let the news decide how they feel. They let social media decide what to care about. They let the opinions of others decide who they are. Day by day, thought by thought, they surrender their mind. And when you lose your mind, you lose everything. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. Epictetus said, quote, "You may fetter my leg, but not even Zeus himself can overpower my will," end quote. He lived much of his life in chains, but his spirit was never enslaved. His body could be beaten, but his reason, his discipline, his choices were untouchable. That is what real freedom looks like. So ask yourself, who owns your mind right now? Do you? Or do your impulses own it? Do distractions own it? Do fears own it? If you cannot control your thoughts, if you cannot direct your focus, if your emotions control you more than you control them, then you are not free. You are a prisoner inside your own head. Owning your mind begins with discipline. Discipline in what you allow in, and discipline in how you respond. If you constantly feed your mind with noise, anger, gossip, and fear, don't be surprised when your thoughts are restless and weak. Your mind becomes what you feed it. Just as the body grows sick on junk food, the mind grows sick on junk information. The Stoics guarded their minds like warriors. They knew your thoughts create your world. Marcus Aurelius wrote, quote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts," end quote. If your thoughts are angry, your world becomes anger. If your thoughts are fearful, your world becomes fear. If your thoughts are disciplined, grateful, and clear, your world reflects that clarity. Owning your mind means taking responsibility for every thought you allow to grow. But it also means training your mind. The mind, like a muscle, grows stronger only when you push it, when you test it, when you train it. Read with focus. Reflect daily. Write in a journal. Practice silence. Resist distractions. This is not comfort. This is mental training. Just as an athlete trains his body for battle, you must train your mind for life. Because the world will always try to invade it. Advertisers want your desires. Politicians want your fears. Entertainers want your attention. Strangers want your approval. If you do not own your mind, someone else will. And once they own it, they control you. They decide what you want. They decide what you fear. They decide what you chase. That is why owning your mind is not just important, it's survival. So how do you take it back? Start with awareness. Watch your thoughts. When anger rises, ask yourself, is this mine, or did I let someone else put this in me? When fear grips you, ask, is this under my control, or am I letting the world own me? When desire burns, ask, do I choose this, or am I being controlled?
Awareness is the first step to ownership. Next, practice control. Don't let your mind wander aimlessly from distraction to distraction. Decide where your attention goes. Decide what you will think about. Decide what you will ignore. Your attention is the doorway to your mind. Guard it like a fortress. And finally, practice stillness. A restless mind can never be owned. Take time each day to sit in silence, to breathe, to reflect, to listen to your own reason instead of the world's noise. In stillness, you remember, your mind is yours. The Stoics practiced this daily. Marcus Aurelius wrote not for others, but to strengthen his own mind. Epictetus questioned every thought, every assumption, so that none could enslave him. Seneca reminded himself again and again, the only true freedom is mastery over the self. Because if you own your mind, you own your life. But if you lose your mind, the world will own you. So stand guard. Be the master of your thoughts. Command your focus. Protect your peace. That is the Stoic way. That is real freedom. And that is the power no one can take from you, unless you let them. They owned their minds, and because of that, no emperor, no crowd, no fate could ever control them. You must do the same. Do not let your mind become a battlefield for outside forces. Do not hand it over to fear, to desire, to distraction. Take it back. Strengthen it. Discipline it. Own it. Because if you own your mind, you own your life. If you master your thoughts, you master your actions. And if you command your reason, nothing, no loss, no insult, no chaos can command you. Your body may grow weak. Your possessions may vanish. Your reputation may be dragged through the dirt. But your mind, your reason, your will, your discipline belongs to you alone. Guard it, strengthen it, own it. That is the Stoic way. That is real freedom. And that is the power no one can take from you, unless you let them. Number 7, practice self-discipline daily. Freedom is not the ability to do whatever you feel like. Freedom is the ability to not do what weakens you. It's the power to act on reason, not impulse. To live by principle, not comfort. To follow your values, not your cravings. Without self-discipline, you are a slave to laziness, to fear, to desire. But with it, you become a master, not of others, but of yourself. Marcus Aurelius ruled the greatest empire on earth, yet each morning he reminded himself to rise and do his duty, to live with virtue, even when weary or discouraged. Epictetus was born a slave, yet he taught that freedom was found not in breaking chains on the outside, but breaking them within. Seneca wrote that true strength lies not in indulging every desire, but in resisting them. Discipline is not built in a single act of willpower. It's forged in the quiet, ordinary moments, the ones no one sees. When you resist temptation, when you do the work you said you would, when you choose effort over comfort. Each moment, each repetition strengthens your will. That is why the Stoics said, practice discipline daily. Not when it's convenient, not when you feel motivated, daily. Ask yourself, who do you want to be? The person controlled by urges, or the person who controls them? The one who says, I'll start tomorrow, or the one who acts today? Discipline isn't about greatness, it's about consistency. Waking up when you said you would, doing the work even when no one's watching, saying no to what weakens you, and yes to what strengthens you. Each small act is a stone. Together, they build the fortress of your character. Miss a day, and it cracks. Persist, and it becomes unshakable. The Stoics even trained for hardship. They would fast, sleep on hard ground, wear rough clothes, not out of self-punishment, but to sharpen the mind's edge. To remind themselves, I can endure this. This is not what I fear. Seneca wrote, set aside certain days to be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, saying to yourself, is this the condition I feared? They trained to need little, to endure much, to stay calm and unbroken under any condition. So what does your daily discipline look like? Maybe it's rising with the alarm. Maybe it's finishing what you started. Maybe it's holding your tongue when anger provokes you. Maybe it's saving when your impulses say spend. Maybe it's reading wisdom instead of scrolling endlessly. Don't despise these small acts. They are your training, the weights you lift in the gym of life. Each repetition forges the will. Each moment of effort builds strength unseen. And when the storms come, and they will, you will not crumble. You will stand. Because discipline has made you unshakable. Without discipline, you are at the mercy of the world, Every craving pulls you, every emotion rules you, every obstacle crushes you. But with discipline, you become steady. You may feel desire, but it no longer commands you. You may feel fear, but it no longer stops you. You may face hardship, but it no longer breaks you. Discipline is not punishment. It is power. It is not restriction. It is freedom. The man who indulges every appetite is not free. He is chained to his cravings, to his moods, to his weaknesses. But the man who can resist, who can say no, who can choose reason over desire, that man is truly free. Think about it. The person who drinks until he can't stop, is that freedom? No, that's a chain. The one who eats until he feels sick, is that freedom? No, that's weakness.
The one who spends money he doesn't have to impress people he doesn't like. Is that freedom? No, that's dependence. Indulgence doesn't set you free, it traps you deeper. Real freedom is self-mastery. Real freedom is being able to choose your actions, not be dragged by your impulses. It's being able to enjoy pleasures without being enslaved by them, to own possessions without being possessed by them, to live in the world without becoming addicted to it. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself every day, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Notice what he didn't say. He didn't say, freedom is getting everything you want. He said, freedom is controlling yourself when the world tries to pull you in every direction. That's why he, an emperor with access to every indulgence, lived simply, humbly, and with restraint, because he knew indulgence weakens. Mastery strengthens. The problem is, indulgence feels like freedom in the moment. It feels like liberation to say, I'll do what I want. But what comes after? Guilt, weakness, dependence. You feel worse, not better. Empty, not full. What looked like freedom was actually a chain. Freedom and indulgence are opposites. Indulgence is slavery dressed up as liberty. Freedom is discipline disguised as restraint. Indulgence is easy, but it leaves you weaker. Freedom is hard, but it makes you stronger. The crowd will always choose indulgence because it feels good in the moment. But the Stoic chooses freedom because it builds strength for a lifetime. So how do you live this? First, learn to pause. When a craving arises, don't obey it instantly. Ask yourself, if I give in, am I free or am I submitting? Second, test yourself. Go without pleasures you think you need. Skip the luxury. Delay the reward. Show yourself that you are stronger than your appetites. Third, remember the cost of indulgence. Every time you choose it, you trade strength for weakness, clarity for fog, freedom for slavery. Seneca warned against drowning in pleasure. He said, "To be enslaved to oneself is the heaviest of all servitudes. The man who cannot say no to himself is in the worst prison of all. But the man who controls himself walks free, no matter where he is." Ask yourself honestly, are you free or are you indulging? Do you own your habits or do they own you? Do you command your desires, or do they command you? Your answers reveal whether you live in freedom or in chains. So remember this: freedom is not indulgence. Freedom is strength. Freedom is clarity. Freedom is mastery. Indulgence gives you a moment of pleasure, but steals your long-term peace. Freedom may demand sacrifice, but it gives you lasting power. Don't confuse the two. Don't fall for the lie that pleasure equals liberty, because pleasure without control is poison. True liberty is choosing what is right, not just what simply feels good. The Stoic is not against pleasure. He enjoys it when it comes, but he does not cling to it. He uses it without being used by it. He owns it without being owned by it. That is the difference. That is the path. So when temptation whispers, "This is freedom," look deeper. Ask yourself, does this make me stronger or weaker? Does this give me control or take it away? If it enslaves you, it is not freedom. If it strengthens you, it is. Don't confuse freedom with indulgence. One is slavery. The other is mastery. Choose mastery. Choose freedom. Choose the Stoic way. Number 9. Accept death calmly. Death, the one truth no one escapes. The one fate every soul must meet. And yet it is the truth most people fear the most. They run from it, avoid it, pretend it only happens to others, as if denial could rewrite destiny. But the Stoics faced death head-on. They did not see it as an enemy, but as a teacher, a reminder, a part of life itself. To accept death calmly is not to give up, it is to be free. Think about it. Every fear you carry is rooted in death. Fear of sickness, fear of losing wealth, fear of rejection, fear of the future. All of them branches of the same root, the fear of death. But what happens when you remove that root? When death no longer terrifies you? Suddenly, the branches wither. You become fearless. Not because life is easy, but because you no longer tremble before the inevitable. Marcus Aurelius wrote about death often, not with dread, but with peace. He said, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." Death is not unnatural. It is part of the same rhythm that brings dawn after night, spring after winter, birth after silence. Why fear what is natural? Why resist what is woven into the fabric of existence? Seneca reminded himself daily, we die every day. Time is slipping from us, one breath at a time. Death is not waiting somewhere in the distant future. It's happening now, with every moment that passes. And if that's true, then fearing it is foolish. It's already here.
The wiser path is to live fully in the time you have, to meet each day as if it were a gift, and when the final day comes, to meet it as a friend, not an enemy. Imagine a soldier trained for war. When the battle begins, he is not shocked because he is prepared. But the untrained man panics, collapses, and flees. Death is the same. Most people live unprepared, running from the thought of death as if denial could change its arrival. And when the final day comes, they are crushed under the weight of fear. But the Stoic trains for it daily. Not with swords, but with reflection. Not with armor, but with acceptance. Through memento mori, the remembrance of death, he learns not to fear it, but to face it. He remembers. Death is not in his control. He did not choose to be born, and he will not choose his final breath. So why resist what was never his to command? Why waste strength fighting what cannot be fought? The wise man saves his strength for what is in his control, how he lives until that final moment. He reflects on death not to be morbid, but to be awake. When he remembers that every meeting could be the last, he wastes no words in anger. When he remembers that every day could be his final one, he no longer delays his purpose. When he remembers that every breath is fragile, he breathes with gratitude. And finally, he sees death for what it truly is, not an end, but a return. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Death is a release from the impressions of the senses, from desires that make us their puppets, from the mind's distractions, and from the body's burden." Death is not destruction, it is dissolving. A leaf falling back to the earth, a wave returning to the sea. Why fear what every living thing before you has already faced? When you accept death calmly, you become untouchable. Threats lose their power. Losses lose their sting. Fear loses its grip. You stop living like a coward hiding from the inevitable and begin living like a warrior prepared for it. And here's the paradox. It is in accepting death that you finally learn how to live. So remember, death is certain, but fear is a choice. Death is natural, but panic is not. You cannot control the hour or the manner, but you can control your response. And the Stoic response is calm acceptance. Live well, so that when death comes, you meet it with peace, not regret. Live fully, so that when your last breath leaves you, you can say, "I lived as I should. I was not perfect, but I was true. I am ready." Accept death calmly. It is not the enemy. It is the teacher, the reminder, the final test. And if you live as a Stoic, you will pass it with strength. Now, transitioning seamlessly into the next section. Number 10, live by virtue, not by circumstance. Most people live like leaves blown about by the wind. When life is good, they're happy. When life is hard, they're bitter. When praised, they feel confident. When criticized, they collapse. Their character shifts with the weather because they have no anchor. They live by chance, not by choice. But the Stoic knows this is no way to live. He chooses a different path, to live by virtue, no matter the circumstance. What does this mean? It means your principles remain unshaken by the storms of fortune. You don't abandon honesty when lies make life easier. You don't abandon courage when fear rises. You don't abandon discipline when comfort tempts you. You don't abandon justice when selfishness calls you. Virtue is steady. Circumstance is not. Marcus Aurelius, surrounded by war, betrayal, and plague, reminded himself, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Notice he did not add, "unless it's convenient." Virtue is not conditional. It is not something you practice when life is easy. It's something you prove when life is hard. Anyone can be patient when nothing tests them. Anyone can be kind when everyone around them is kind. Anyone can be disciplined when life is simple. That's not virtue. That's circumstance. Real virtue is patience when provoked, kindness when insulted, discipline when tempted. Virtue shines brightest in the dark. Epictetus was born a slave. No wealth, no status, no freedom in the eyes of men. Yet he lived with dignity, wisdom, and courage. He refused to let circumstance dictate his character. Even in chains, he was free because he lived by virtue. Seneca, surrounded by luxury, warned against letting fortune corrupt the soul. He wrote, "A good character once established is not easily overthrown." That is the goal, to build a character so strong that no rise in fortune makes you arrogant and no fall in fortune makes you bitter. Circumstances change daily. Virtue endures. Ask yourself, what guides your actions? Your values or your situation? Do you stay honest only when it benefits you, or always? Do you stay calm only when life is smooth, or also when storms rise? Do you live justly only when it's easy, or also when it costs you something? Your answers reveal whether you are living by virtue or by circumstance. To live by circumstance is to be a puppet. The strings of fortune pull you one way today, another tomorrow. You smile when they lift you up, and you despair when they drag you down. But to live by virtue is to cut those strings. You act not because fortune favors you, but because reason guides you. You do what is right, not because it brings reward, but because it is right. So how do you live this? Start with clarity. Define your virtues. Decide what you stand for. Honesty, courage, discipline, justice. Write them down. Reflect on them. Then make a vow. These will guide me no matter the circumstance. Next, test yourself in small things. When you feel the urge to cut corners, resist. When you feel the temptation to complain, stay silent. When fear whispers, wait, act anyway. Every time you choose virtue over circumstance, you strengthen the armor of your soul. And finally, hold yourself accountable. Each night, reflect. Did I live by my values or by my situation? Did I control myself or did fortune control me? Marcus Aurelius did this every night in his journal. You can do the same. Reflection sharpens the soul. Because here's the truth. Circumstance will never be fully in your control. Fortune rises and falls, health fades, wealth disappears, people praise and condemn. If your peace depends on these things, you will always be unstable, always restless, always weak. But if your peace depends on virtue, you will always be steady, always calm, always strong. So remember this. Live by virtue, not by circumstance. Live by what is eternal, not by what is temporary. Live by what you choose, not by what the world chooses for you. Do this, and no matter what happens, whether fortune blesses or breaks you, whether the world praises or rejects you, you will remain unshaken. You will remain free. You will remain whole. That is the Stoic way. That is strength. That is how to live. You've now walked through the 10 Stoic rules for freedom. Control what you can and accept what you can't. Don't be a slave to your desires. See hardship as training.
Let go of other people's opinions. Remember, everything is temporary. Own your mind. Practice self-discipline daily. Don't confuse freedom with indulgence. Accept death calmly. And above all, live by virtue, not by circumstance. These are not lessons to hear once and forget. They are principles to live by. Every day,
In every choice, in every storm, the world will always try to pull you off course. But if you hold to these rules, you will walk free, unshaken, unbroken. Now it's your turn. Declare it in the comments. I choose freedom. You're not just typing words, you're programming your mind. You're making a promise to yourself. And if you want more teachings like this, more Stoic wisdom, more tools to help you master yourself and your life, subscribe to the channel, because this is just the beginning. In the end, it's not about controlling life. It's about mastering yourself within life. The storms will come. People will change. Fortune will rise and fall, and so will you. But if your mind stands firm, if your heart remains steady, if your spirit holds to virtue, then no chaos can touch you. You will walk through noise and remain silent inside. You will walk through loss and remain whole inside. You will walk through fire and emerge calm, untouched, unshaken. This is not just philosophy. This is armor for the soul. This is the Stoic way. This is freedom. Now take a breath. Look at where you are and whisper to yourself, not for the world, but for you. I am free. Because freedom doesn't mean escaping life. It means rising above it. Unshaken, unbroken, unmoved. The Stoic way. Live unshaken,